Hello, and welcome to our first special edition of Outlook Video, your nationally recognized, award-winning LGBTQ plus TV news magazine. I'm Roberta Gonzalez-Gregg. In this special edition of Outlook Video, we are pleased to have as our guest filmmaker and founding executive director of Queer Women of Color Media Arts Project, Madeleine Lim. Again, Madeleine, and welcome so much to Outlook Video, and thank you so much for joining us. We would like to learn all about QuackMap.
Yes.
Yes, which is Queer Women of Color Media Arts Project. It is indeed a mouthful, so QuackMap works very well. This is a free film festival upcoming in San Francisco, June 9th through 11th. And this is the 19th anniversary, am I correct?
It is. Hi, Roberta, and I am delighted to be here. Thank you so much for having me. And yes, it is our 19th annual film festival. It is free. It's held in San Francisco in the Presido, which is a national park, at the Presido Theater, June 9th to the 11th. We're very excited about it. We're screening about 30 films in 6 screening programs, which is the first time ever. It's a record number of screening programs for us as well. And we are especially excited about 2 films that we have. They're both feature-length films. One is a narrative and the other one is a documentary. And they're both dealing with disability justice, actually, and how that impacts queer and trans people of color.
Excellent. Good to know that. In reading about QuackMac, that is pretty much your guidelines are to be inclusive in gender, non-binary, gender non-conformative people, and different orientations, and that is to help bring about social justice and common community concerns. This is really shown through the films, correct?
Absolutely. It's shown through the films that we select. And, there's a lot more awareness around diversity, equity, and inclusion these days. And, QuackMap is 23 years old this year. And those values of diversity, equity, and inclusion were a part of QuackMap's founding 23 years ago and is a part of our DNA. So I'm really glad that there's a lot more awareness around that now. So those values really influence not only the films that we select, but also as an organization, how we work, how we do our, how we communicate with each other, how we communicate with our partners. And so that's really important in terms of the social justice values that we embody. And that leads to, providing different, making people feel welcome and included and safe at our film festival, also providing free childcare, all the different ways that we sometimes are not always don't feel accepted or don't feel like we belong in certain spaces. So, this is how we make sure that our communities and our allies all feel welcome and included and safe.
Excellent. And you also expand this inclusivity with, for one thing, it's a free festival, which indeed is really, that's enormous right there, making it accessible to everyone, but also in transportation. So this makes it easy for people to get to and from the festival, and people with different abilities as well. So that's extremely important that you're being so inclusive. I've noticed, to quote you, my creative vision is to highlight the lives of queer women of color and reclaim the legacy and impact of queer women of color, feminists, and cultures, theory and praxis. In doing so, I soulfully invoke the interconnections of identity and issues of which employ the everyday spirit of triumph and real lives and real people. There you hit the nail on the head. You're telling the stories of real people, and QuackMap does this extensively. So tell us a little bit. They're not people just in the Bay Area. these filmmakers, they're international, is that correct?
That is correct. So our film festival is an international film festival, meaning that we take and accept submissions from all around the world. And one of our criteria, our key criteria, is that the film needs to be created by a queer or trans person of color, right? It's queer women of color and, gender non-binary, gender non-conforming folks. And what that means is that we can create a film about anything. It can be about climate change. It can be about our parents who are typically heterosexual. It can be about whatever that is important to us as people, as opposed to defining it that the films have to be about LGBTQ experiences, because, we're really trying to uplift the filmmakers in our communities to tell our stories and to share our experiences.
That's especially important now when there is in other parts of the United States besides California, where LGBTQ communities and diversity is being suppressed on very different levels, and especially within the arts and education. And so that's emphasized through Quackmac.
Absolutely, absolutely. We can make films and we will show films about any of current topics, historical issues, particularly issues that impact people of color, right, from anywhere in the world, indigenous issues, land sovereignty, whatever it might be. It doesn't have to be defined as a queer issue, right? So as long as the filmmaker is, a queer woman of color, gender non-conforming, gender non-binary, LGBTQ person of color, we accept the film.
That's absolutely fabulous. Who would have thought of this 23 years ago? But we're so glad that you did.
Thank you.
You're among the founding women in this group. Is that correct?
I am the founder. Yes, I am the founder.
The founder.
Of
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Talk about forward thinking. You are also a filmmaker, and yours is there's one that I read about Jewel Gomez, a local activist, and you have a film about her called Jewel, A Just Vision. And so I'm looking forward to seeing that one as well. But I understand that on her films, let me see, I'm going to quote from her. She says, "You have to be able to imagine a better world to get to a better world." Fabulous. And that also hits the nail right on the head. You have to imagine it through our stories, through movies and documentaries such as what Quackmac is presenting, so that people can hear our stories. It's like when you go get together with family and you exchange all those family stories, things that happened when you were growing up as a kid. These are important things to remember, and it's important to tell these stories forward. My goodness, you must get overwhelmed with lots of filmmakers, no?
No, actually, I love the interaction with other filmmakers. And yes, I'm a filmmaker myself. And that was how initially, actually, that's part of the origin story of Quackmap, is that I had completed one of my documentaries in 1997, and it was traveling on the International Film Festival circuit. And at each film festival, I discovered that I was among one handful of queer women of color filmmakers. And so I realized during that time, if we are not the ones making films about our lives and our experiences, who are we thinking is going to do it? And because I had training as in education as a teacher, and I had gone to film school, I saw the need to actually start to conduct filmmaking classes, free filmmaking classes for our communities, and free because I did not want the economic barrier to be there, because filmmaking film school is very expensive. Filmmaking equipment is expensive. You know, if you're putting all your time into making a film, your time is not spent out trying to make a livelihood, to pay rent and get food and all those kinds of things. And so I really wanted these classes to be free. And I saw the need. I did not know if there was a demand. And, you know, this is pre-internet. This is all this is the late 90s.
Oh, yeah.
And so I, put out workshop flyers all over, and folks showed up, and there was a 2.5 year wait list. And that was,
Oh,
that's the heart of QuackMap, is our QuackMap filmmaker training program. And then those films actually are showcased during our film festival.
absolutely fabulous that these women get to show, and all these people of color get to show their films and their stories and share them. There's a quote from, well, this is a gentleman by the name of Harry Belafonte, who said, "Art in its highest form is art that serves." And this indeed is art which serves, and it serves and entertains. So there's some great entertaining films too, as well, I take it.
Yes, yes. And I think that's the beautiful thing about film, is that it is a really powerful medium, right? Advertisers pay billions of dollars to run ads, and on TikTok, on TV, on cable, and and politicians constantly raising money to run ads. It's a really powerful medium because it not only entertains, it's not only thought-provoking, it sways emotions. It makes us feel, and that's why it's really powerful. Yeah, and I'm super excited about my documentary, my new feature-length documentary about Jewel Gomez, who is an amazing artist, writer, award-winning writer, playwright, activist, and yeah, it's screened this year at the British Film Institute, the London LGBTQ Film Festival. And it's screened at the Sebastopol Documentary Film Festival that same weekend in March. And it just screened in Newark at the Newark LGBTQ Film Festival in April. And in June, it's screening at Frameline in San Francisco, as well as in New York City at New Fest Pride as well. So I'm very excited.
Oh, this as you should be, and deservingly so, to have this, have your films and films of others being shown all around the country and all around the world, that you're bringing in women from all, and bringing in filmmakers from all around the world. Absolutely fantastic to share these stories. And yes, each of these stories is very meaningful and helps us move forward as well, helps the viewers. Sometimes there's aha moments, where we think, oh, wow, I didn't know that happened. That same thing happened to me, and I suppressed it over these years. And here's a whole story about it. Or, oh, look at this, is a wonderful story. It runs in the different gambit of ranges as well. So that is fabulous. Madeline, tell us a little bit about some of the feature films happening at this film festival.
Yes, I am super excited about the two films that I mentioned, our feature-length films. They're both screening on Saturday, and we're sort of doing a back-to-back double feature. And the first one, Ginger and Honey Milk, screens at 1 p.m. And that film is actually directed by a Japanese queer deaf filmmaker from Japan. And Mika is a deaf director who has taught other deaf people how to act. And so in this film, which is a narrative film, fictional narrative film, we see deaf actors as the characters. And it is about how, their life unfolds of, these two, one is a deaf lesbian, the other is a deaf gay man. It's based in Japan. And we really experience their world because the film is primarily silent. There's a little bit of music, only because Mika's previous films did not have any music at all because as a deaf person, they don't hear music. And so, but there was some feedback from hearing people who are accustomed to hearing music in films. And so Mika added some music into this film. But all of the, everyone signs in the film. It's Japanese Sign Language. They all sign, and so it's all silent, except for some moments where there's an emotional outburst and there's some music. And so it really, in terms of the audience experience, you're really having an experiential moment when you're watching the film, right? You're really, being in their world.
Okay. And is it subtitled for those of us who
Yes.
don't speak sign language? Thank you. Excellent.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It is subtitled completely in English. And, our entire film festival is also, we provide ASL interpreters to every screening as well. Yeah. And then the second film, which plays right after Ginger and Honey Milk, is called Unseen. And this film is by Seth Hernandez, who is a queer undocumented filmmaker. And it follows Pedro, who is a blind, undocumented young man, an immigrant, and he is blind and low vision. And so the way the audience experiences that film is that every time we're seeing the world through Pedro's eyes as he navigates, down the street and tries to cross the street, or, goes to work or goes to school, the image is out of focus, right? It's blurry because that's what he experiences. And when we see him through someone else's eyes, who's a seeing person, then he is in focus, right? So again, here's another film that is about disability, where it's experiential, like you get to experience part of how he sees the world. And so it was a really great opportunity, a really rare moment to have these two films. And we thought it was really well served to have, them play back to back. One's about hearing, the other one's about sight, on Saturday. And then we are following that with sort of a panel discussion at 5:00, talking about disability justice in film. And what's really important is that very often disabled people in film are almost always portrayed as the bad guy, right? If you think about James Bond, Skyfall, or any of the James Bond movie, almost always the bad person is someone who has been, went through trauma, was disfigured, was crippled, or something other, and they're always the bad guy. And so, there's been lots of studies done about how disability is portrayed in film, and it's almost primarily negative portrayal. I'm not sure if you know about the University of Southern California, the Annenberg School of Communications. They do a study every year. They study the top 100, top Hollywood films, and each year, and I think they have now, the study includes maybe 1,400 films or 1,500 films, and then they break it down in terms of, the characters. Are they primarily white? Are they primarily people of color? Are they, by gender? Are they women? Are they men? Are they transgender people? In terms of sexuality, are they part of the LGBTQ community? Are they heterosexual? They study disability. Are they able-bodied? Are they disabled? And so it's really, I think it's a really great set of programs and films.
These two films seem as though they show a very different perspective, one which we are not used to seeing. And I think this will be one of these aha moments. So thank you for that.
Agreed.
Thank you indeed. Yes. Okay. So the film festival is coming up in June 9th through the 11th, correct?
Correct.
But you can also see it through other social medias or other venues?
Well, we are hosting the film festival in person, June 9th to the 11th at the Presido Theater in San Francisco. And then we are also hosting we're also streaming it. So we're doing an encore screening online. And those dates are June 23rd to the 30th. And so that's when the film festival is going to be streamed online all around the world. So if anyone is interested, just check out our website, which is quackmap.org. That's QWOCMAP.org. And tickets, well, right now, obviously folks are registering for free tickets for our in-person film festival. And once that concludes, then the free registration for the Encore screening will begin.
Excellent. Excellent to know that people can already sign up for the in-person, but as well as for screening for the future dates. So sometimes we're not able to attend. I know I personally would love to attend all of the films, but wouldn't be able to. But I can do it through screening through
That's right.
another fashion.
Right.
Thank you. Terrific.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Well, we've covered a lot about Quack Mac, about yourself, and about the works. This is fabulous to know, and I'm sure all of our viewers will be very happy to know this and attend as well. Thank you so
I hope
very,
so.
very much. Thank you so very, very much. Anything else that you'd like to add about Quack Mac?
I can spend days and years talking about Quack Mac. So, but thank you so much for having me.
You betcha. Thank you so much for putting this together for our community. This is enormous, and we really, really appreciate it. And again, we look forward to it. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
We love to get mail from you. Email us at comments@outlookvideo.org.
To contact us by phone, call 408-293-3040, extension 205.
Visit our website at outlookvideo.org.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/outlookvideo.
And connect with us at facebook.com/outlookvideo.
Well, thank you all for joining us this afternoon, loyal Outlook Video viewers. And with your loyalty, we ask that you please continue to watch future of our special edition shows on YouTube. We will continue to give you all the updates of things happening within the LGBTQ plus community to keep you informed. So thank you again for watching our show.